Hey, how's it going everyone? Thanks for joining me once again and welcome back to another video. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe in these circumstances. It's an ongoing saga, but what can you do? Just hope it ends soon. Alright, so in today's video I'm actually doing something a little bit different. I decided to give CDs a break and go back to my vinyl collection just to change it up a bit. So if you've been watching for a while, you'll notice that I've done three broad categories for vinyl, so heavy metal, death metal and black metal, which are the main styles I listen to. So today I'm actually going back to heavy metal and talking about three albums. I did volume 2, this is volume 3 today. I did volume 2 a while ago, and in that one I spoke about 6 or 7 albums, and I think it went on for quite a long time. So I decided to just break it up into bands. So today I'm just talking about 3 albums. In that last one, way back when, it was I got up to Alcatraz, so AL. So today I'm up to AN, and I'm going to be talking about Canadian heavy metal legends ANVIL. So the 3 albums I own on vinyl. So obviously ANVIL are a band which need no introduction, highly influential heavy metal band, and inspired a lot of those thrash bands, I think. And a lot of people know the story about them. They were a band, although they were very influential, they didn't achieve much commercial success. But it's good news. Since the release of this film, The Story of Anvil, which I've mentioned before, very good movie. I highly recommend you watch it if you don't know about the band or if you haven't seen it. Very entertaining. This film just talks about the struggles they went through and eventually getting some recognition. And it's good to see that these days they're getting the recognition they deserve a lot more since the making of this film, and it's really well deserved, I think, because they are a great band, and in my opinion they've been underrated. So yeah, I'm just going to get in and talk about the music. On this channel I have spoken about the CDs I own, like Metal on Metal, Pounding the Pavement, and I did talk about one vinyl, but there's 2 that I haven't spoken about, so we'll just get straight into that. So 3 albums to talk about today, and these are sort of considered classic legendary ones from the 80s era, which was sort of like the golden era for a lot of these bands, and I think a lot of people consider these ones the essential ones. So we'll get straight into it. Alright, up first I've got Hard and Heavy. So this is, I believe, the debut album from 1978. That's interesting. Yeah, I mentioned there were 80s albums. This actually predates it, if I'm not mistaken. So this was, you see how this was way ahead of its time, first of all. Like when you listen to the music on this album, absolutely brilliant in my opinion. I love this album. How I would describe it is this is basically heavy metal, but it's fused with a 70s rock and hard rock vibe. Also, I really like the production on this. It's raw. It has a raw and dirty sound, but it's also like very rocking, so in that typical 70s style, I would say. And what's interesting is that Lips, the vocalist, he has a very trademark kind of voice. On this album, his vocals aren't as harsh as abrasive or raspy. They're a bit more sort of softer and more melodic, but not in a wimpy way. It just sounds great in my opinion. But still, this is a very heavy album, still with pounding drums, and of course, they always say anvil, smashing and pounding. Rob Reiner's drumming is just absolutely crushing, and it shows on this album as with all the other albums. The way I would describe this, it sort of reminds me a little bit, if you're a fan of 70s era Scorpions and Ted Nugent, like early Ted Nugent in the 70s, it's sort of a fusion of those sounds. That's what it sounds like to me musically. And yeah, it's just fantastic. So this album, you've got 10 tracks. They're all really good, but I'm just going to talk about my favorites. Like the whole album I can listen to from beginning to end. Just talking a little bit about the tracks. So the opening track, School Love, that's got some very catchy riffs and vocal melodies, and a rocking tempo, like very fast 4/4 drumming, which is very catchy. Also some thunderous drum fills, of course. The second track is called AC/DC. It's got a very catchy pre-chorus and chorus with the vocal melodies. And it also has a very 70s interlude with a sort of dreamy, jammy kind of sound that a lot of 60s and 70s bands did. And yeah, it's just like that 70s rock vibe is very present on this album straight away. But they're the first 2 tracks. My favorite 3 tracks on the album are tracks 3, 4, and 5, so let's talk about those. First of all, In My Apartment, that is brilliant, just such an awesome sort of pulsing bass line, such a catchy riff, and it only occurred to me recently, that riff reminds me a little bit of The Rover by Led Zeppelin, and I was going, well, no complaints there, great song, but it's just so atmospheric, this song, In My Apartment, it's great. It's slow and it's atmospheric, great vocals, and of course blistering solos from Lips. Then my other favorite track is I Want You Both With Me. That's interesting because that has a very 70s and old rock and roll vibe. And what's interesting about it is Lips is normally the lead vocalist. That song is sung by Dave Allison. So on these earlier albums, he played rhythm guitar as well. So Lips played lead guitar. But yeah, Dave Allison, he usually sang one song on each album. So this is that one. It reminds me a little bit of Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent. But if I'm being completely honest, it's much better than that. Like, just in my opinion, but like, so catchy, that song, it's great. And my other favorite track is Bedroom Games, just like a fast song with blistering guitar solos to begin with, and it's just got a majorly catchy chorus and riff. Then we go over to side B. Another favorite track of mine is Ooh Baby. Just really good, very catchy chorus, like that sticks in your head, you're bound to be singing along to that. They also do a cover of Rolling Stones' Paint It Black. It's interesting, quite a few bands have covered that song, like Marduk covered it, and so did Deranged, so a black metal band, a death metal band, and a heavy metal band here. But yeah, I really like the Marduk cover of that song. It's very interesting. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this. Yeah, this is like a heavy metal version of Paint It Black, and it's got some gallop to it, and it's fast and just very catchy again, and vocals are great as well. And then then you've got the last three tracks, which are Oh Jane, Hot Child, and Bondage. All very good songs. They don't stand out to me as the others, but as I said, my favorites are At the Apartment, I Want You Both With Me, and Bedroom Game, but the whole album is just solid. All right, so show you the inside. I bought this one in Bangkok, so this one just came with the jacket, so that's nice and quick for you. But so plain black vinyl with Polydor labels, just very old school and traditional, but it's the music that counts, and I love this album. Okay. So like I said, this album is, I'll just show you the back here. You've got the portraits of the band. So 4 members, Lips, Rob Reiner, Dave Allison, and Ian Dixon. That was the classic lineup of most of the 80s, I think. Yeah, so this album, like I said, way ahead of its time. It's raw, it's rocking, it's got a little bit of a 70s vibe, but at the same time, it's always pounding and smashing in that typical Anvil way. So Anvil with hard and heavy, brilliant album. All right, coming up next, Forged in Fire. This was the album which came out after that one, I believe. Oh, by the way, you'll know that I've also talked about Metal on Metal on this channel. I don't actually have that one on vinyl. I may get it soon. I have it on CD, and I think this one came out before Metal on Metal. I could be mistaken, but I'll leave the notes down the bottom anyway. Yeah, another fantastic album. First of all, I really just like the logo and artwork, as with the previous album, actually. Back you've got portraits of the band there. So this album is a little bit different. This album is when they started progressing more into heavy metal territory, like dusting off those shards of 70s rock, I suppose, like moving into the 80s. So to be honest, like when I listened to this, again, it reminded me a little bit of Scorpions, like 70s era Scorpions musically. But then upon recent listen, I thought a lot of the riffs and guitar tone remind me a little bit of the first 2 Maiden albums. And don't be mistaken when I say that, it's by no means a Maiden carbon copy. It's not at all, but just like the guitar sound and the production, which is obviously not a bad thing. It's like raw and it's rocking, which is cool. The guitar soloing and drumming are excellent as usual. It's got a raw but crisp production, especially with the drum sound. Like you can hear the drums very crisply and clearly, and it's got this, despite the rawness, you can hear the bass and everything. So I really like the production on this album, just fantastic. How many tracks have we got here? 10, and just to get straight to the point, all 10 songs are good, but 6 tracks are my favorite. So 6 out of 10 are what I consider favorite tracks. So they are, first of all, the title track, Forged in Fire. That's just very heavy and atmospheric, great riffs and melodies on that song, and it's epic, especially with the drum rolls and everything. Like it just puts you in this fictional world of like strength and power. It's fantastic. Also, track 2, Shadow Zone, is a great track. That's fast and energetic. It's very old school, kind of traditional heavy metal, like early 80s stuff. Brilliant solos. And the vocals are also very good. I will say, in that song, when the vocals start to soar really high-pitched, it sounds like he's struggling a little bit, but the vocals, they still have charm. And by the way, it is hard to hit those high notes. And like, I know Some people may criticize the vocals. I really like them. I think they have a lot of character. Also, track 3, Free as the Wind, fantastic track. Fast and energetic once again. And the opening riffs are a little bit similar to Iron Maiden's Transylvania. So I think that's where I got the Iron Maiden thread from there. Yeah, and again, once again, great catchy vocal melodies and an 80s vibe, great pre-chorus, chorus and lyrics, brilliant solos. Like Free as the Wind, it's all about living your life independently and not having people tell you what to do, which is, it may seem a little bit cliched, but of course it's inspirational to all of us. I think like everyone likes to think they go their own way, you know, so that's a great song, Free as the Wind. Now, just like the other album, I Want You Both With Me, this album has a song sung by Dave Allison once again, which is Never Deceive Me. When I first heard this album, that was the one track which singularly really stood out a lot to me, again because the different vocal style and everything, but it's just such a catchy song, catchy riffs and brilliant vocals and melodies, and the lyrics are also very memorable. It's about like a guy's girlfriend cheating on him, I think, and he finds out about it. So, but it doesn't have a hostile message. It's interesting. He's basically just saying, you know, oh well, that's it, pretty much. But nice guitar solos and a very 80s rocking vibe, like Never Deceive Me, and like the rhythm and like the crunchy riffs are just fantastic. So that's perhaps my favorite song, Never Deceive Me. Also, other favorite tracks of mine are Future Vibes. That's got a great pre-chorus and interplay between the riffs and vocals and a brilliant guitar solo. Also, How Can I Resist, the song Make It Up to You. Just a very memorable and catchy chorus, and but also some very heavy, catchy riffs. Like that chorus, Make It Up to You, it's a very typical Anvil vocal melody and like that catchiness which sticks in your head. And I just want to start singing that chorus when I'm talking about it now, but I won't. I'll spare you of that. So yeah, the other songs that I didn't mention, they're all good, but they just don't stand out. Like, I mean, everyone has their favorites, so those 6 are my favorites. So Forged in Fire, Shadow Zone, Free as the Wind, Never Deceive Me, Future Vibes, and Make It Up to You. I will say Motor Mount is good as well. Like that was another one which stood out. And this one was produced by Chris Tsangarides, who produced Judas Priest and various other bands in the 80s. So absolutely fantastic, underrated album, Anvil, Forged in Fire. I'll just show you this one. This one I actually bought when I was in Japan. I bought it visiting my friend in Takamatsu, which is this remote island down south. So it comes with this lyric sheet here in English, and lyric sheet liner notes with Japanese lyrics and everything, and the logo, so that's cool. And yeah, I think Anvil are very popular in Japan, so I was happy to find it in the shop, you know, and in very good condition too. So all right, and once again, yeah, plain black vinyl, Polydor labels, but yeah, brilliant album again. Like you can never really, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with Anvil, especially early Anvil, like the 80s stuff. It's just classic. So both of these albums I've spoken about are just brilliant, in my opinion. All right. So if you haven't heard this one, definitely be sure to check it out. That's Anvil with Forged in Fire. Once again, great logo and artwork layout. All right. Now I'm up to the third and final record to talk about today. With this one, I'm not going to talk about it much because the others I hadn't spoken about before, but this one I've spoken about in a collection update from ages ago. This is Strength of Steel. And you see here, this is still in the shrink wrap because I bought it off a guy in Sweden from Discogs. And it was pretty cool though, the fact that he left the shrink wrap, he's left the hype sticker on it and everything like that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to talk about this album too much because in a previous collection update, I spoke about this album like track by track, detailed breakdown. So I don't want to repeat myself, but what I will do is leave a link to that video if you want to hear the detailed review of this album. Once again, just fantastic. Like I'll read you some of the hype stickers here. They say, longtime kings of Canadian metal, Anvil's new album is a summation of metal styles, displaying the band's versatility and breadth. Lead vocalist Guitar Lips is a unique talent whose vitality as a player and a frontman are undeniable. And then some other words. Anvil has always been a band that created bands, not followed them. Anvil are what you always hope for. If this is the sound of our future, then book me a season ticket. Anvil's music matches the image, heavy as hell with a touch of class. True. And lead guitarist Lips is the exponent extraordinaire and leery ringleader of Canadian metal gods, Anvil. So, gushing praise there for this album. By the way, I can read, I am literate. It's just like my eyesight's shit, and this print is tiny, so I don't have my glasses here. But yeah, brilliant album. This one came out in '87, so this is when they had really gelled as a band. And I suppose, you know, with the earlier albums, when there's remnants of 70s rock, they're still finding their style. This is when it was definitely established. Like, great cavernous, echoey production, extremely heavy rocking, but also atmospheric. It's just brilliant. So yeah, I've said here, because of the heavy echoing production, it sounds powerful. Brilliant guitar tone and solos. And Lips's voice on this album sounds a lot more powerful compared to the previous albums, where it was like kind of raw. So I suppose, you know, the band evolving, getting better, but really good. Yeah, like I said, if you want to see the detailed video, go back and watch that other one. I'll leave the link in the description. But this one has 10 tracks, and 8 of them are my favorites, believe it or not. So Strength of Steel is a fantastic song, like so catchy with the vocal melodies and the riffs. And it's funny, I introduced my brother to ANVIL, and then he became an even bigger fan than me. Like, he just devoured all the albums overnight. And I remember the first time I heard the song Strength of Steel, I was at his place. We were drinking up really late, like 4 a.m. or something. And he goes, "Oh, you want to hear Strength of Steel?" And we put it on. I remember that song just standing out to me, going, "Wow, that leaves an impression." And now we have this running joke. Like, he'll say, "Oh, do you want to meet up and come over sometime? Make it a Strength of Steel night." So yeah, that's got some nostalgic value for me. My other favorite track, like Concrete Jungle, is very good. 9 to 5 is just incredibly catchy with the riffs and the vocals. Just play that song and you'll know what I mean. 9 to 5. Also, I Dreamed It Was the End of the World. Not one of my super favorites, but it's got a typical ANVIL vocal melody, so it's got that trademark sound, which is great. 2 of my absolute favorites, though, would have to be Cut Loose, just incredibly catchy, and also Mad Dog, like mean, heavy, crunching riff in that song. Great chorus as well. Straight Between the Eyes is atmospheric as well. See, that's the thing, this album, not only is it heavy, but it's also extremely atmospheric and powerful in some parts. Speaking of atmosphere, the song Kiss of Death, that's got a heavy, great, epic atmosphere and powerful vocals. Like, you just, so good, that song. And the same with Paper General, the last one. Great epic atmosphere and epic melody. So the last 2 songs, they're typical sort of album closing songs, but it sounds so 80s, so heavy, so powerful, so atmospheric. It's brilliant. So I'll just show you the cover here. So cool artwork, and also portrait of the band. And as I've said before, like Rob's red leather jacket is really cool. And you've got Lips in bondage gear, which is sort of like a trademark thing for them. This one comes in a jacket, just collage of the band and lyrics. And plain black vinyl with Enigma Canada labels. Yeah, so all of the vinyl is pretty old school, but that's all right with me. Like, I think plain black is okay. You know, sometimes when you have all these like crazy color and marble variants, yeah, it's cool, but I also just like the typical old school style of black. Okay, yeah, so that's a fantastic album from the late 80s, brilliant stuff, ANVIL with Strength of Steel. Alright, so that's it for this video. That's all the ANVIL I own on vinyl. As I said, I want to get Metal on vinyl, and yeah, several others actually, because like this band is just so heavy, so like when you hear it on vinyl, it accentuates everything so much, especially the drums and the bass. But yeah, brilliantly underrated band. I'm slowly filling the gaps in my collection, and yeah, I have a long way to go. Like on CD, I've got 3 albums. I've got those 3 albums, but I really want to get more because I like this band a lot. If you haven't checked them out, start with these 3 albums because I think they're a really good starting point for this band. And it's sort of, you know, when you hear a band in their formative years, that's sort of like often people consider it the classic, the legendary sound. And not that I'm saying the newer ones aren't worth checking out. They are, because they're great, except just the formative ones I think are very important for any band, so I'd recommend any of these. So anyway, I'll stop babbling and just let the music do the talking, so go and listen to these albums. What do you think about ANVIL? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? What are your favorite albums? Which ones do you strongly recommend to me? Maybe I haven't heard some of them, so yeah, let me know. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it if you've made it through to the end of this video. Feel free to leave your comments, share your thoughts about this video. that would be great. And once again, thanks a lot for watching, commenting, and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. And also, if you like the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up to show me some support. I'd appreciate it. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. See you.